Today we are going to study chapter 8, text processing. So in this chapter, a lot of materials will be a lot of details. So they are not difficult, but there are a lot of details. Okay, details. So I will try to explain the details of every single method. You will see a lot of methods will be in this chapter. So text processing, basically in this chapter, we will have a lot of different methods to deal with text. So at the first, we have used strings so far for input and output, including reading from keyboard and files and writing to the screen and to files. So for example, if we have learned how to read TXT file, we have learned how to write output to TXT files, right? So for input and output, so we are dealing with strings. Okay, we are dealing with strings. So it can also perform operations on strings as used by like word processing programs, email programs, search engines, and more. So and C# and .NET framework have tools and techniques used to examine and manipulate strings. Okay, we have a lot of methods and tools to manipulate strings. So and first, let's learn how to work with characters. So what is character? So it is single digit. Okay, it can be a digit, it can be a letter, or it can be a symbol. Okay, it's a character. So the char data type is used to store individual characters. So character literals are enclosed in single quotations marks. So don't confuse with string literals with which even including only a single character are enclosed in double quotation marks. Okay, so for character we have single quote. Okay. And for double quote, so it is a string. So the char data type. So the char data type variable can hold only one character at a time. So basically, this statement declares a char variable. You see char letter, and character literals are enclosed in single quotation marks. Single quote. So this statement assigns the character G to the letter variable. You see letter equals single quote or single quotation G. So with single quote, basically we want to use character. So if you have double quote G, so then that G will be considered as a string, not a character. So for example, if we have declared so letter to be a char type, okay? And you want to do letter equals double quote G. So because when we use double quote, no matter what's inside the double quote, maybe one character, maybe multiple characters, so that that part will be considered as a string, not a character. So if you do this, letter equals double quote G, so that will cause a compiler error. Okay, that will cause a compiler error. So we can use the toString method to convert a char value to a string value. You see that char is a single character. It is not a string. So if you want to display the message or the content in the character in a message box.show, we need to transfer the character to strings, okay, with a toString method. So here are some examples. Write a statement to declare a char variable grade and assign letter A as its value. So in this case, so I want you to write one statement. So everything should be in one line. So if you write char grade equals single quote A semicolon, then that is correct. Okay, that is correct. However, if you write char grade equals double quote A, then that is an error because double quote will be used for a string, not a character. Okay, not a character. So we have another example. Assume a char variable grade has been declared. Write a statement to display its value in a message box. Okay, message box. So because for message box.show method can only be used for string. So in this case, grade is a char variable. So we have to use the toString method to transform the char variable to a string variable. Okay, we have message box.show grade.toString or toString. So how to retrieve the characters in a string? C# accesses the individual characters in a string using subscript notation. So the subscript 0 refers to the first character in the string. In a string of length n, the last character has subscript n-1. What does it mean? So for a string in C#, C# can treat the string as array of characters. Okay, as an array of characters. Like, for example, in this following example, we have string name equals Jacob. Okay, so for this Jacob, you see we use double quote, and inside the double quote, we have 5 letters. We have JACOB. Okay, we have 5 letters. It's a string. So in C#, this 5-letter string can be treated as an array of characters with length 5. Okay, it means so C# can treat this Jacob as J, the first element, A, the second element, C, the third one, O, the fourth one, B is the last element. So it's an array of characters with 5 elements. Because of that, so if we declare a char variable letter, we can have a for loop and enumerate all the elements in this array Jacob. Okay, you see that in this for loop we have index equals 0. Index is less than name.length index plus plus. It's basically we are going to enumerate all the elements in this array JACOB. So we have letter equals name index. Okay, the index is, for example, starting from index number 0. If index equal to 0, then name 0 will be capital letter J. Okay, and if index plus plus, if index equals 1, that is the second element, which will be letter A. So when index equals number 2, that will be the third letter C. Index equal to 4, the 3, index equals to 3, that will be the fourth element O. Index equals to 4, that will be the last element B. Okay, so you need to understand. So for this string, there are 5 elements. Okay, for the string, if we treat the string as an array of characters, there are 5 elements. Okay, so based on the knowledge we have learned from the chapter 7, we know that the index number will start from 0. Okay, will start from 0. So for each letter, for each element, which is a character, so when we want to display its value, we need letter.toString. Letter.toString. Okay. Elements in the string array are read-only, and their values cannot be changed. For example, the following will not compile. You see, that is the difference between a string and a Euro array. For a Euro array, you can change any elements, right? For example, if we have an array, int array with five numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can basically change the value of any elements in the array. Okay, for example, have the name of array, the index equals a number. Then you change that element. Okay, that is no problem for a regular array. But for a string, even though C# can treat the string as an array of characters, but that array will be read-only because Jacob is a given input. Okay, so that is read-only. If you want to do this, the first letter will be capital J. If we want to do name 0, basically that is the first element, equals single quote T. Okay, we want to assign capital T to the first element in this string. Then that is an error. Okay, you see the following will not compile. C# will give you an error. Okay, this cannot be done because that is read only. Okay, you need to remember. So what you need to understand from this part is, first, a string can be treated as an array of characters. Secondly, that array is read only. We cannot change the value of one element. Okay, any element that is read only. So we have some example here. Assume a string variable name has been declared. Write a statement to display its third element in a message box. For example, if the value of the string is Michael, we need to display letter C. Okay, letter C. So here, letter C is the third element. So for the third element, its corresponding index number will be number 2. Okay, number 2, like this one. So and first, you need to understand this is an array. The third element will have index number 2. Then, when you want to display a single element, or a single element in a string, so when we use this kind of format, right? Name is the name of the string. 2 is the index number. So that is a character. Okay, that is a character. So we need to use the toString method to transform the character to a string. Then it can be displayed in a message box. Okay, it can be displayed in a message box. So for the next example, write a statement to display both its second and third element. So when we want to display the two elements, so we have name index number 1, that is the second element. Name 2, that is the third element. We have a plus. That plus sign is used for a string concatenation. Okay, so we can have both the second element and the third element. Okay, third element. So these are two examples. So now we have some methods for character testing methods. Okay, so character testing, the value for characters are, so we have char is digit, so that is used to check if input character is a digit, because for our input character it can be letter, it can be symbol, and it can be digits. So isDigit method can be used to check if the input character is a digit. Okay, basically we want to check if an input character is a digit from 0 through 9. Okay, 0 through 9. So for example, here it is. So here we have one example. So we have string and str equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is not a number. That is a string. And if we have char, so dot isDigit, and the argument of this method is string 0. Basically, we want to test if the first element in the string is a digit. Okay, so if the answer is yes, then we want to display a message true. Otherwise, we will skip this if structure. So in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the first element is 1. Well, it is 1. So it is a digit. So this condition for if condition is true, we will see the message true. Okay, we will see the message true. So we can also have another format to use this method. We have char isDigit string index. In this new format, we have two different parameters. The first one is string, okay, which is input string. The second one is index number. So with this, when we use isDigit method, in this way, basically, we would like to check if index of str is a digit. For example, we see the square on the right, okay? We still have declared string str equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for this if condition, we have char is digit string str 0. Basically, we would like to check if, so in a string str, the index number 0 element is a digit or not. Is a digit or not. So in this example, index number 0 will be first element, which is 1. So it is true. We will see the message true. Okay, we will see the message true. So from this method is digit. So we have learned. So is digit method. So the input argument can be a single character. Also, you can have two arguments. The first one, it is a string. The second one is an index number. Okay. So here we can observe something interesting. What is that? It is for is digit method. For that specific method, there are two different versions, right? For the first version, we can just use a single character as the input. For the second version, we have string and an index number, 2 parameters as the arguments, okay? There are two different versions of this method. So based on what we have learned, right? So when we declare a method, usually most of the time, we only have one version. But in this case, we have two versions, okay? So it is possible to build one method with multiple different versions, okay? It's possible in C#. We will not focus on this issue, but based on what you have learned here, you can observe this pattern. Observe it. Okay, observe it. So the next method is letter. Okay, for is letter, based on the name of the method, so it is obvious that this method is used to check if the input character is alphabetic through Z or A through Z or capital A through capital Z. Okay, capital A through capital Z. There is also another version, char is letter string index. It is used to check if index of str is alphabetic. Okay, for is letter, we also have two different versions. Okay, we also have two different versions. Okay, so the example can be similar. And let's see a simple example. Where's okay, so let's see a simple example. It will be very similar as the is digit method. Okay, we can have some simple example. So yeah. So for is letter, right? We can declare string, right? String. So str equals we have Z12FW. For example, if that is the input string, and we have if structure, we have char is digit 0, right? That is can be used. That is. So we have message box.show. Then we have something similar. True. Okay. So if that is the example, and we can analyze example with similar thing, which is, so if the first element is, so sorry, it's a digit, we want to use is letter, right? So we want to check if the first element is a letter. In this case, the first element is letter Z, small z. So this condition will be true. So we enter the if structure. We will see the message true. Okay, we'll see the message true. Similarly, for the second version of is letter method, we can use a string and an index number, right? A string and an index number. So if we have string and index number is 0, still we would like to check if the first element is a letter. In this case, it is true, so we will see the message true. If we have the index is 1, right? If the index is 1, so we will not see the message because the condition, the corresponding character is 1, which is not a letter, okay? That is, the second method is letter, okay, is letter. So we also have char is letter or digit. So in this case, we can check if CH is a digit or alphabetic. So if it is a letter, it's a number from 0 to 9, or a letter A to Z, or capital Z to capital Z, then we have true. Otherwise, we have a false. Okay, we have false. Similarly, is letter or digit. That method has two different versions. For the first one, the input is a single character. For the second one, the input is a string plus the index number. Okay, same thing. So we can have something similar quickly. We just copy what we have here. So if we have Z12 FW and we have is letter or digit, is letter or digit. So for stream 0, Z is a letter, so the answer is yes, right? So if we change to number 1, it is a digit, so the answer is also yes, because this char is letter or digit will return true if the corresponding character is a letter or a digit. Okay, so we'll see the message true. So for the second version, right? For the second version, we can have. So we have first parameter is a string, second one it is an index number. Okay, so this is letter or digit. So you may be wondering why we need that. Okay, why we need that? So let me give you a context which you may need that, right? So sometimes, right? Sometimes, so we need to do what? We need to do online password changing, right? We need to do online password changing, right? So when you want to set a password or change a password, there are some requirements, right? So in the website, you will get some requirements. For example, for the password requirement, so some requirement will be at least 7 digits, or at least contain a capital letter, a small letter, and a number, right? Sometimes if you see the requirement, so you cannot use special symbols, right? In the password. Or in other words, the password can only be a combination of digits and letters. Okay. But how the website knows that your password satisfies those requirements? For example, if you want to check if so there is a letter, right? There is a letter in the password, or there is a digit, at least 1 digit in the password, or the password consists of digit and letters. If we want to know this, then we can use this method, right? We can check every single digit to see if it's a letter, or if it's a digit, or if there is any digit or any letter, right? We can use these methods to check if the password, the input password is valid. Okay, that is one possible application of this kind of methods. Okay, this kind of methods. Okay. So in this slide, we learned is digit, 2 different versions, is letter, 2 different versions, and is letter or digit. Also, we have 2 different versions. Okay, 2 different versions. So you can see that I try to explain every single method in details because I want to make sure that you can understand it. Okay. Otherwise, you have to go back and learn those methods and understand the things by yourself. Okay. So let's continue. So we have more overloading. So what is overloaded? Overload means there are multiple different versions. Okay, multiple different versions. So methods for testing the value of a char are, we have is punctuation to check if the character is a punctuation mark. So for is punctuation method, we can have two different parameters, str string and index, to check if index of string is a punctuation mark. So like this example, right? So we have the input method is HELLO, right? Punctuation, right? So we want to check if index number 5 is a punctuation. So remember, so the string will start from index number 0. We have number 0, capital H. Number 1, letter E. Number 2, letter L. Number 4, 2. Number 3, letter L. Number 4, letter O. Number 5 is a punctuation. Okay, so the index number 5 element, which is a 6th element in the string, is a, so we will see the message true. Okay, so we can also have another version, overloaded version, which is there are two different parameters, string and index. Okay, 5 is index number. That is punctuation. So we can also have char is white space. Okay, is white space. So the format is similar. Okay, similar. Let's use some very quick example to illustrate that one. So we have okay, if you have white space, that is also part of string. Okay, we have char and what is white space? Okay, we want to see if number 3, okay, index number 3, that is the 4th element. So the first one is letter Z, second one digit 1, second 2 digit 2, the 4th one is a space. Okay, it is a white space, so we will see the message true. Okay, overloaded version will be so we just have one single character as the input to see if it's a white space. Okay, it's a white space. So here we have learned two different methods. The first one is, so char is punctuation. So we have two versions. The argument, the parameter can be a single character, or we use two parameters, string plus an index number. For the second method, we have is white space. Okay, we can also have a single input character and two parameters, string plus an index number. Okay, plus an index number. So you see, we have more methods, as I mentioned in the beginning of the lecture. So in this chapter, there are no fancy stuff. Okay, there are no complicated, advanced concepts or algorithms. So instead, we have a lot of this kind of detailed methods. Okay, each method is used to do something. So you may want to go over all these methods and try to understand each of them, because in your project, okay, when you want to accomplish something, for example, let's assume you want to design an application in which you would like the user, right, to establish a new account. Okay, so at first, user need to type their desired account ID, the ID. Okay, so secondly, you need the user to type the password. So we want the password to just contain what? Contain the letters and digits. Okay, letters and digits. And we would like what? We would like so their password to do what? To have at least one capital letter, one small letter, and one single digit. Okay, if that is the application, okay, if that is the application, so how can we use these different kind of things? Okay, different kind of things to accomplish it. Okay, that is a fun application. So basically, we can use combination of those things, to build this application, okay? So in this slide, we have its lower and its upper. Based on the name of the methods, it is easy to see. So basically, we would like to what? We would like to check if the input character is a lowercase letter or an uppercase letter, right? So we can check if the number 0 is lowercase, okay? If number, let me see, if number string index number 0 is uppercase, okay? We can check if lowercase or uppercase, okay? So here is one example. Here is one, let me see, what is that? Here is one example. So assume that a string variable name has been declared. Write a for loop to check if each element in the string is a letter. If the ith element is not a letter, display a message. The ith element is not a letter, right? So in this case, we have a for loop. So we want to check if the corresponding index element of the name string is a letter. We use isLetter method. So we have if it is a letter, we have not. It is a letter, then not is 0, we will skip. If it is not a letter, we have not false is true. We go inside, we have the plus string concatenation, index plus 1. Basically, because if index is 0, we refer to the element number 1, okay, to string plus th element is not a letter. It is not a letter, okay, it is not a letter. So this is the example, okay, this is the example, okay. So before we continue, as I just mentioned, right, we can use this kind of different kind of combination. All the previous simple methods to do what? To build a simple application, right? To build a simple application. So let's build it together in this lecture, right? So we can do it together because in this chapter, a lot of things are detailed. Having a real example can be more fun. Okay, more fun. Okay, let's build together. Okay, we have it. We have built a new project. I want application. Okay, I want this, and it is new account. New account. So we have this and we have this. So we create a corresponding project. Okay, this is a small project. We can work together. So you see, I start from scratch. Okay. So and let's write the requirement. Right. The requirement of the project is this. Let's write it in the next lecture notes, right? Requirement of the application. So user need to type ID, valid ID, okay, by satisfying. So the ID can only contain number. How about this? ID contain letters plus numbers, okay? And the first character cannot be a number. Okay, I just write some very simple requirement. Okay, so the ID can only contain letters plus numbers, and the first character cannot be a number. Okay, cannot be a number. So the user needs to type a valid password, right, by satisfying the following requirement. Okay, we have first. So the password has to be at least 8 digits. At least 8 digits. Not 8 digits, okay? At least 8 letters plus digits. So the password cannot contain any other symbols, okay? So otherwise, in other words, it can only contains letters plus digits, okay, digits. The third one, so the user need to type the, yeah, just this, make it simple, okay? Cannot contain any other symbols. Then we have the first, okay? So the password has to contain at least one capital letter, one small letter, and one number, okay? One number digit, one number. Okay, there are 3 different requirements. First, the password has to be at least 8 digits, 8 letters plus digits. Secondly, the password cannot contain any other symbols. Last one is the password has to contain at least one capital letter, one small letter, and one number. Okay, so we have some requirement. Okay, some requirement. Let's build the application, right? Build the application. So we have this form. So let's build it very quickly. Okay, we can have. Let's see, labels. Okay, we have labels. We name the label. It is user ID label. Okay, so for auto size, we do not want auto size, we want false. Okay, so text will be ID. Okay, have ID here. Then we can have a text box. Try to make it simple. Text box. Okay, we can put it over here. So that is user ID text box. Okay, we have ID text box. Okay, use ID text box. Okay, so we do not have its text. Okay, so also we can have another label, which is password label. So the text should be okay. Okay. It is password. So I have ID here. I have another text box. Okay, that is password. password text box. Use so that is password text box. I have this, and I have two buttons. So button number 1, so will be create button. I basically want to create account, right? Button. So great. Okay. Button number 2 will be exit button. Okay. Still want to close the form. Exit button, and I resize my application to a reasonable size. Okay, put my stuff in the corner, try to make it more compact. See, okay, this is my application. So I want the user to type ID here and type a password there by satisfying the requirement we have listed there. Okay. So for the first requirement, the user needs to type a valid ID by satisfying the ID can only contain letters plus numbers, and the first character cannot be a number. Okay, cannot be a number. Okay, so basically we want the sorry, I need to change the text here to exit. So I want, when I click the create button, so the C# can check if the input ID and password can satisfy the requirement. We can satisfy the requirement. Okay. So then we need to create an event handler for create. Okay, for create. Okay, we have this event handler. So first, let's deal with the ID part. Okay, what is the requirement for ID? Let's go back. It is, so ID can only contain letters plus numbers, and the first character cannot be a number. Okay, so let's do it. Okay. So let's use indicator. Want to declare. So why I need it? Because I do want to use this to mean that, to indicate if, sorry. To indicate if the creation of my account is successful, right? It is successful. Okay, it is successful. It is now. It is minus. It is -1. It's -0. Okay, 0. Let's use a 0. So then we want to see if the ID number is good. Okay, this ID number is good. If what we have, let's go to so this is ID text ID user ID text box, right? User ID equals ID text box, right? Dot text. Okay. Dot text. If let's see, if the first condition is if sorry, I want to check what? I want to check if first I check first character cannot be a number. Okay, so I go back to my slide. Okay, so I want to check a letter, or I want to check if it is a letter, basically, right? if it is a letter. If it is not a letter, then this is a problem, right? So we have char is letter, right? Char is letter. We have the ID number 0, right? We want to check if that is a letter. So if it is not a letter, right? If it is not a letter, or we can have, right, equals -1. Okay, equals -1. -1 means it is not successful. Okay, it is not successful. Let's use this. Successful means 1. Not successful means 0. Okay, it is 0. So if it's not a letter, then it is 0. Okay, then we want to check other things, which is if the ID can only contains letter plus numbers. Okay, so in the slide, what can we use? We can use is letter or digit, right? We can use is letter or digit. Okay, is letter or digit. Can have a for loop, right? For index equal to 0. So index is less than user ID dot length, right? And we have index plus, okay, plus. So we want to check if we need use char dot is letter or digit. Is letter or digit. Okay, I have ID index. If it is a letter or digit, it means if we find anyone to be not letter or digit, right? Either not letter and digit, then we can have equals 0. It means we fail. So the creation of the count is fail. Okay. So basically, you can see that by using these kind of statements, we can check what? We can check. First, we checked if the first character is a letter, and if the combination is letter plus numbers. Okay, we check both requirements. Okay. Then we move on to next one, right? So let me write some comments. So it is. So check if the first is a letter. Then we have if the ID contains any other symbols. Okay, simple comment. Then we want to check what check. Next requirement, next check. The password has to be at least 8 digits, letters plus digits. Okay. So at first, we want to see first check password. Okay. So check. Password is at least letters plus digits. Okay, we want if. Sorry, let's declare string. Okay. Password, okay, equals text box, right? Text. So we want to check if the password is at least 8 letters plus digits. So we want to see if Indicator flag. Yeah. So check if it's 8-digit. Then we have if, right? So we want to check. At first, it is let me see. Yeah, it is length is 8. Okay, it is length is greater or equal to 8, right? If that is true, we go inside, and we want to use the same loop, for loop, to check if the combination of letters and letters index equal to 0, index is less than password, right? Password dot length index plus plus if char password index. So we have 0, right? We check if the input password is consists of letters and digits. Okay, letters and digits. If the answer is no, so indicator flag is 0. Indicator flag is 0. Okay, and we can have this. Another thing is, let's go back to requirement. So it is if the password cannot contain any other symbol. Okay, the password has to contain at least one capital letter, one small letter, and one number. Okay, one number. Now we need something, right? We need to declare int, right? We have indicator, right? We need this long words, okay, make it easy. And equal to 1. Sorry. Password capital letter count, okay, equal to 0. Yeah, that is what I want. So the next one is password, okay. Small letter count equal to 0. Password capital letter, small letter, number account, right? Count equal to 0. I want 3 count, okay? So this case. So I have this for loop. If it is non-character is indicator in the flag equal to 0, okay? And I want to count the number of each type of characters, if, right? If we go back to slides, we have for capital letter, lowercase, small letter, uppercase, capital letter, and digit is for digit, right? Here we have if char dot is digit, right? Is digit password index. Password index, if that is an index, right? That is a digit. Now we have password number count. We want to count how many numbers are in the password, right? Plus, plus. Okay. So we can copy the same code for multiple times. We have if, now I want to check if it is lower, right? Is lower and password. Index, we have password, small letter count. Count plus. Okay. And we need to count the capital letter, same thing. So it is upper, right? It's upper is to check if it's a capital letter. So capital plus. Okay. When we finish the counting, we have if this equal to 0 or zero, right? Okay. Or password capital letter count. Okay, let's do it together. Equal to 0, right? Then we can have equal to 0. Equal to 0. So now we have, eventually we check all the requirements. Then we have if indicator equal to 0. It means something wrong happens because we have checked all the requirements. If something wrong happens, indicator flag equal to 0. Okay. If indicator flag equal to 0 or equal to 1, it means nothing happened. Okay, nothing happens. So we have message box dot show ID and password are valid. We do something. Congrats. Okay, congrats. The ID and the password are valid. Okay. Then otherwise, it means something wrong happens. You need to fix some issues in the ID or password. Okay, so in this application, we want to make it simple. Actually, you can make it more complicated. For example, for each different type of issue, right? For example, if the ID contains a special symbol, not letter, not digit, you can give the corresponding message, right? But in this application, we just make it simple. Okay, make it simple. Now let's write some comments. Here it is. Comments is the password contains some special symbols. Okay, this is if there is at least one number, right? This is check if there is at least one lowercase letter. The last one is check if there is at least one uppercase. Okay, you see, I try to write some comments when I build my code. You should do the same thing when you work on your project. Okay, so if display, this is display the corresponding message. Okay, corresponding message. So you see, this is the application we got. Let's see if it is good or not. Build. Okay, build successfully. Okay, we have this, right? So if we put ID number and with numbers, okay, and if we put capital letter letter with some numbers, right? If it's numbers, we create. Congrats, the ID and the password are valid. Let's make some violation. Here, first, in the ID, we have a special symbol, for example, this one, right? And so then you need to fix some issues in the ID or password, right? Let's see, we make some wrong password. We do not have a capital letter, right? So let's create. You need to fix some issue with in the ID and the password, right? And we have a capital letter, but we have no lowercase letter, right? So we create. Sorry, what's going on here? Small letter count plus. You see, I got some problem. Let me see here. Password small letter count equal to 0. Let's try it again. Capital letter, the numbers. Okay, why I cannot see message? If I let's use something wrong with my. Oh, I see. What's the problem? Yeah. The problem is this: I have only if the password length is greater than 8. Okay. This if it's too short, I have to. You can see sometimes you got some logic error. Okay. Else, it means I have no code to deal with if the length is less than 8. Okay. So we have the same thing. This guy. Equal to 0, and I want this whole part, okay, outside, okay, outside. Let's build it again. Okay, let's run it again. You see what's going on here. Now I have ID here, password Z. So you see, right? This time is too short, so I need to be longer. I have more numbers, so it's a valid if I only have capital letter and numbers, so it is fixed, right? You see, with what we have learned, right, in the lecture, I think we have spent around 20 minutes. We build this application. It's very simple, right? It's very simple. Oh, we have a last thing to do, which is this button and this dot. Okay, start close. Okay, let's see. Exit. Okay, now we're done. Okay, we are done for the whole project. You see, so I use this small project to demonstrate we can use these simple methods to do something, right? So why I need to show this to you, because when you learn by yourself, especially you want to build your background in computer programming, data analytics, right? This is how you learn programming, okay? When you learn something, for example, we just learned those methods from the slides, from the textbook. It's dry, okay? It's dry, even though you understand it, but you do not know how to use it, okay, how to use it. So you need this kind of small projects to practice. And this practice can help you to understand, right, these methods. Okay, that's why I want to show you how this method works with this simple application. Okay, you see, it's not difficult. I only spend 20 minutes. You can do the same thing, okay? Do the same thing by more practice, okay, by more practice, okay? More practice. So let's continue, okay? We have something different. We have capital case conversion. So the char data type provides two methods to convert between the case of a character. So we have two lower or two upper. So the two lower methods can return lowercase equivalent of character. So two upper returns uppercase equivalent of the character. For example, so we have string number 1, A, B, C, capital A, capital B, capital C. String number 2, we have small xyz, and we declare char letter equals to lower. And string number 1, index number 0, basically we are going to convert capital A to lowercase a, okay? So, and also we declare another letter equals char to upper string to number 0. We are going to convert, so lowercase x to uppercase x, okay? We have to lower to upper, okay? Why we need it? Sometimes, right? When you build your application, you will allow, right? You will allow the user. For example, you have type your name without capitalize the first letter, okay? When the user type the name, their name with all small letters or all capital letters, this kind of method can transform the input to standard format. Standard means, so both first name and last name will start with a capital letter, or other letters are lowercase, okay? So this is what I mean. For example, if I enter my name, right? And my name like this, right? So when in your application, you can transfer it to the standard way, okay? If I enter the name Bob Smith, right? With all lower case letters, so you can transform it to standard, which is Bob Smith, okay? So this is useful because when you collect input from the user and put it in a database or put it in a form, you do want everything to be standard, okay? To be standard. That is why we need it. It is useful, okay? So here is one example. Assume that a string variable name has been declared as follows. We have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, D, F are capital. All other letters are lowercase. Transform all uppercase letters in string to lowercase letters, okay? So here in this case, we first declare another string name, name 1. Then we try to enumerate all the letters, all the characters in this string. We start from index number 0, okay? We have, so for the corresponding element, if it is upper, right? It's upper, it means it is upper. Then we transform it, the letter to lowercase. If it is not upper, it means it is lowercase, then we just copy, okay? If it is uppercase letter, we transform it to a lowercase letter. Otherwise, we will copy the letter directly. It means after this for loop, we will see small lowercase a, b, c, d, e, f, g. Okay, a, b, c, d, e, f, g. So assume that the string variable names 1 has been declared as follows: a, b, c, d, e, a, b, d are capital. Transform the uppercase letters in name 1 to lowercase letters and lowercase case letters to uppercase letters, okay? You want to reverse A, B, D to lowercase, C and E to uppercase, okay? We can revise the previous code as the following. First, declare name 2 equals empty string. Then for each element, each character in the string, if it is lowercase, then we use to upper method to transform it to the uppercase. Else, if it is uppercase, then we transform it to lowercase. Else means if it is special symbol, it is either not or it is number, right? It is not letters, we just copy it. We just copy it. You see, with some small revision of the given code in the previous example, we can do something more complicated. In this example, we can transform the uppercase letters to lowercase letters, and we can also transform lowercase letters to uppercase letters, okay? For this kind of problem, okay, you will have some similar problems in the exam, okay? I will try to see if you know each method, if you have studied each method, and you know how to write simple code, right, to accomplish some requirement. I want to check that, okay, in the exam. So now let's see something about working with substrings. So what is a substring? Okay, what is a substring? So it is this, right? For example, if you see a sentence, right? If you see a sentence. So today there is a football game in Tampa, for example. In Tampa, right? These are sentences, right? So a very hot topic in data analytics is what? Is text mining. What is text mining? It is we would like to mine or extract useful information, useful pattern from the text. Okay, one example is this. So we would like to classify newspapers or news. We would like to see if it's sports or healthcare or political or other types, right? We would like to see the type of the news. How to do that? Basically, the idea is for news, you have paragraphs, right? You have more sentences, you have more paragraphs. It means so the text will be more complicated than this sentence, but the basic structure is similar. There are still some sentences. There are still multiple different words, right? For example, if I search in this sentence and I find there is a keyword football, right? There is a keyword football. Then it's quite possible that this news can be classified as sport news, right? So if I see a sentence, so the COVID, right? The new vaccine, right, will be available in December, for example, right? I see this sentence. That is quite because I got the keyword vaccine. So it's quite possible that this sentence or this news is for healthcare, right? So basically, you can see that the idea is what? The idea is one simple way is to search some keywords. Then with these keywords, we can classify the corresponding news, right? So you see that is one possible application of substring, right? What is substring? It is today there is a football game in Tampa. That is a long string, right? But in that long string, we find a substring football, right? When we find a substring football, that piece of information is good enough for us to classify the whole news as sports news. Okay, we are not interested in the whole sentence. We are interested in this substring. Okay, substring. So that's why a substring is a string within a string. The .NET framework provides method for working with and manipulating substrings. Okay, so you see, I explain why we need these methods because they are elementary units in further text mining data analytics. Okay, with these basic concepts, you will be able to learn those advanced materials in the future. Okay, in the future. Okay.